Welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming this afternoon. This is such an exciting afternoon for us. So I get the job of telling you what courageous phenomena is. And I'm going to start with me. I grew up in an unsafe home. And I sort of have needed courage my whole life to get up in the morning. So I sort of became a young philosopher and started trying to figure out what this deal was, because I could tell that it shouldn't be what was going on in my house. And so I started studying the people and books and movies and TV, looking for the thread, what it was we were supposed to be doing here. And I think I really figured it out. I think what we're supposed to be doing here is love. And in the last couple of years, I've noticed that love isn't just beautiful, love isn't just sweet, it isn't just kind, but that love doesn't get anywhere without courage. Sometimes courage is standing up for someone that you love, or saying no, or doing something differently. It takes courage to change. And we're all changing all the time, and we're all growing all the time. And Daniel and I wanted to make a container, create a 501c3 around encouraging, fostering, and celebrating courage. And I believe that when we let the love grow, when we feed it with our courageous action and our truthfulness, that we can learn to love each other. We can learn to love differences. If we look at it a little differently, maybe we can love those things too. We've been thinking about it as far as building the capacity, building our own capacity to encourage, foster, and celebrate courage. And that's a great segue into Hilda, because I was the one that nominated Hilda for our first Courageous Award, because Hilda has the sparkle of spirit that says she's doing something bigger, that she's reaching across. And in the song, Daniel uses the word sparkle. And at first I heard it and I was like, oh, I didn't know, it was too magical. But then if you think about the word sparkle with Hilda, you're like, obviously, she does. And that's a beautiful, it's a beautiful harbinger for all of us.
The whole idea of this, what we wanted to do is to create music to recognize people. And so when I do that, I have to get a little bit familiar with the person. And I met Hilda maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I think we both were attending the Race Awareness Week, and I was working with the Racial Equity Coalition. And we've had, various reasons to work together over a period of time. So I want to give a little bit of background why it makes sense that we would give this award to Hilda, because her work has to do with cultivating and facilitating and teaching about cultural agility. The history of Oregon is one where some invaders came into a place that had a lot of harmony and got rid of the native people, for the most part, that were here. This was about 165 years ago. Within a space of 10 years, most of the native people were gone or moved, dislocated. The vision for the people that were coming here was to basically criminalize anyone who wasn't white. So that meant that any people of any ethnicity besides the white folks were basically criminalized from the beginning, from the origin of this place that we live, which is not good. So it's taken courage for people of different backgrounds and cultures to even be in Oregon. And it's created a sort of a de facto whiteness to the whole state, which if you're white, you don't really quite recognize because everything is kind of homogenous and everything is fine. But then there's the issue that many other cultures have been coming here over the last numbers of years. So now we need to be able to learn how to build bridges and talk to each other, understand everyone's differences. So now I want to sort of go back into time when a little girl was born in Costa Rica many years ago. I learned a number of things about Hilda when I spoke with her. I already felt that she was heroic in what she was doing in her work. And then I got familiar a little bit with her story. It's a story of really incredible resourcefulness, even from an early age. She had parents who had, I would say, very high expectations and standards. They were educated and they expected their children to be learning about the world. In fact, her father worked with the United Nations and at a certain point was working on a project in Ecuador. It's funny because we were talking about and tracing back, well, where did this interest that Hilda has about building bridges come from, and even as far back as remembering her father in the way that he was building bridges. It's sort of in that DNA of her life. But by the time she was 8, her father had tragically been killed in a car accident. And at that point in time, it was like the world of this little family, Hilda and her 3 siblings, 1 sister and 2 brothers, kind of fell apart. Her mother was also a person of great resourcefulness and someone who had an incredible connection with, we could say, the invisible world. Even though this was an incredible passage for the whole family, everyone regrouped. By the time that Hilda was in 4th grade, she was going to a school that was a German school. She learned German, and a little later than that, she was actually learning physics and math in German. So she had this gift of going into challenges in difficult areas and learning the language, being able to start to converse with things that were unfamiliar. She was extremely motivated, also learning English. So she was becoming multilingual at a very, very early age. So she progressed and progressed and learned, and by the time she was 18, her family had been in different countries, in Costa Rica, Ecuador. At a certain point in time, she was in Barcelona with her mother and her sister, and her mother became sick with cancer and died. So this is a person who had this strength to go through these passages and then find her way into a new life that involved becoming a whitewater rafting guide. This was just so remarkable when I heard about the whole progression, because she found her way onto the river and got better and better and better at it and began to be a guide in different places around the world. Even she was traveling all over the world to be a guide. And then she got invited to be in the Olympics. I'm not going to go into the whole story of the Olympics. She ended up being in 2 Olympics. But that in itself is a major hero's journey. When I talk about hero's journey, I'm talking about all of the times when we're faced with difficulty and we have to decide, are we going to go out onto that edge and forge new territory? Are we going to begin to claim that new space and actually reckon with the forces that are there that are larger than us and ask in some way for the blessings of larger powers to help us and bring back blessings to everyone else? And this is what Hilda at that point in time began to do. She was becoming a guide. She participated in those Olympics, and that was an amazing situation where she had to find someone that could teach her. She was from Costa Rica. There was no program. She was competing with athletes from very developed countries all over the world. She made it to the Olympics in Atlanta. I think that was in 1996. And that is where she met Oliver. I could tell you the whole passage where they moved to Hawaii and she's guiding people to swim with the dolphins. And I could tell you a little bit about the passage where they came here basically with nothing and started a whole new life and began to get grounding in the community here. There are many, many phases to this story, but what I began to understand in terms of creating this piece is that I wanted to create a music that would speak about I would say the beings underwater in life that guide us. So the name of this piece is Even the Creatures of the Deep Will Guide You.
Diane Perry to our little stage here. Thank you.
So how long have you known Hilda?
Well, I've known Hilda, let's see, so her son Kai is a 6th grader now, and he was just in kindergarten when we met.
Hmm. And you met through the Rose Circle?
We did, yeah, so we worked together at a wilderness camp for teen girls.
So how was she connected with that?
So we were both sort of volunteers through the Rose Circle mentors.
We're going to talk a little bit about what the Rose Circle does.
Sure, so the Rose Circle is a nonprofit that serves youth in the Rogue Valley, really 10-year-olds to 24-year-olds, through individual mentoring and circle mentoring, really just to provide them with adults that can be supportive and a positive influence in their lives.
And she wanted to have some part in that?
She did. She wanted to have a lot of parts in that over the years, but the first thing was that she reached out to the Rose Circle through an email, and we met at a coffee shop. It's now Cafe 116, and she bought me a drink.
Really?
She didn't even know me. That has really stuck with me, and now I try to do that for other people sometimes. But yeah, she said, "I'll get this," and then we sat and talked for a couple of hours, and
What was your impression?
well, I loved her. I loved her when I met her, and
She's pretty lovable, isn't she?
she's very lovable.
Right away. You just
And
love her right away.
She's dynamic and excited, you know.
Dynamic and excited, that's something I've noticed about her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Mhm.
Yeah. She can make things happen.
Right.
Yeah. So what other connections did you have with her over time?
So through the Rose Circle, we just developed a friendship and have been in women's circles together and just family life together, community life.
She has some experience leading circles, doesn't she?
Right.
Yeah. So what has been your experience with that? She seems to be able to hold a space.
Yeah, and in the circle that we were in together, we all took turns doing that and sort of learning from each other in that way. But one thing that I think that she brought to our circle experience that was unique is really kind of like an openness and a willingness and to do what maybe we would call like sacred or spiritual or yeah.
Uh-huh.
In a way that was really unguided and unstructured, but each of the women held a special role in our circle, but I think that was one that she claimed well.
Like the whole idea of bringing in the sense that she can sort of reach beyond.
Right, like making a specialness out of what could otherwise seem like maybe everyday life.
Uh-huh, yeah. The thing that's behind ordinary life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing that we notice in poetry, like words about everyday life. Suddenly you see, oh, there's something bigger behind it. So that's something that seems like she has some facility with.
Yeah, and I was just reread The Alchemist in the last couple of weeks, and there was a line in there that really struck me that reminded me of Hilda. It says, when something evolves, everything around it evolves as well. And I thought, yes, that is speaking to this situation. As I've seen Hilda evolve over the time that I've known her, I feel like I get to evolve as well. Whether or not it's a result of her evolution, something in my evolution is affected and caught up in that in a positive way.
Wow, yeah, that's something I've really noticed about. It touches me very much that there are people around us who move us forward in our lives almost just by being who they are.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be a quality that she has.
Yeah. And there's something about Hilda that actually really reminds me of my mom. When my mom died at her funeral, every person that walked in said, "She was my best friend." And there were many people that showed up. And I feel that way about Hilda, that everyone maybe thinks because I know I do.
Right.
She's my best friend.
Right.
Because she has that magnetic, after seeing her, I think many of us would say that we feel something
Yes.
better. Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. When I wrote the song that we're going to perform in a couple minutes with my daughter, Allie, who's a singer-songwriter from Nashville, and we actually just traded a number of choruses. We made up choruses. I talked a little bit about Hilda and her life, and the chorus that we ended up with starts with "You've Got Life," because that vibrancy that you feel from Hilda is just like having life, like, all right, we're in the presence of life here. Something that's really, alive and moving.
Mhm.
So I think I'm going to perform that song now. So thank you so
Nice.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For
Thank you
sharing.
very much.
Thank you.
You got life like a river rolling. You've got the losses, the sparkles and the light. You've got the strength to see what matters most. That's what's beneath you. That's what's beneath you. Your mama showed you how to heed the quiet calling of your heart. Your father taught you how to be so strong. And when it came that they were gone and you were standing on your own, you held them close and bravely moved along.
And then you learned the water's way to ride the current of your heart. The rapids sang a wild and ancient song. A hero's heart was calling you, a mighty love was shooting through to bring your dear one close where he belongs.
You've got life like a river rolling. You've got the losses, the sparkles and the light. You've got the strength to see what matters most. That's what's beneath you. That's what's beneath you.
We're all trying to swim through the changes. We need bridges and boats that can take us. We need guides on this river of change.
Now you're standing, safely landed, surrounded by this family you made. All the while the water moves below our feet, around our roots. Beneath you is a mystery of grace. You've got life like a river rolling. sparkles and the light. You've got the strength to see what matters most. That's what's beneath you. That's what's beneath you. You've got life like a river rolling. You've got life like a river rolling. You've got life,
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 life.
life. So now we'd like to welcome Hilda up to the stage to say a few words, and we want to give her, Elle, come up, these are the scores to these two pieces of music.
Come on in.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Elle. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here today, for being in my life, for being Kai and Oliver, part of the reason why so much has been possible. Without your love and support and example and presence and love, I wouldn't be here. I feel deeply grateful for being seen in this light, in this loving light, and known, and to understand through your perspective more about my own life and experience. I am also very, very grateful to my family, my mom and dad and brothers and sisters. There's 2 sisters and 2 brothers. And each one of them and their families have also been part of what shaped me. And yeah, I just feel that it's wonderful to be in this point in my life with the opportunities that are in front of me, the community that supports me, and the challenges that we have in front of us that are what gives us the kind of the space to do the work of love. The opportunity is there to remind us of love and of all that we are and all that we can bring. So thank you, and let's keep going.
So, we want to thank everybody who's been here all afternoon and all day, and Wanda, God bless you.
Yes.
She's been on this for weeks. For everybody's patience. We just want to tell you a little bit about what's up next, which is Daniel's working on a project with Air VR Studio, which is artistic interactive rendering. And we have Aaron Moffat and Carlos Velasquez right here. These are 2 brilliant guys. If you don't know these guys, just take note. Very important guys. And they're doing this really incredible project. You'll have to look it up. Air VR Studio. They have their website up. We don't quite have our website up. We're working on it. It's one step at a time. All of us right now. The second thing is we are working on gathering the funds for the legal fees for the 501c3. We need approximately $4,000. No problem. So we're looking at fundraising for that. And then the third thing is hot off the presses this week, Daniel's new CD, Love's Hidden Demands. If you would like to make a contribution to Courageous Phenomena, if it's $20 or more, you get a CD with your contribution. And we have the CDs here tonight. So I believe that's our show. Is that our show?
There's a spring concert.
There's a spring concert. We don't know where it's going to be. It's going to be bigger than this, but we don't know. It's just, we have to just kind of, one step at a time. We're just moving along, just figuring it out.
We can do that song. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door, laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has